Hi, everybody.
Всем привет.
Чун-чун. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. По-русски? Как сказать?
З Великоднем, з Пасхой.
С Пасхой?
Мгм. Somebody asked me yesterday, was it intentional to start talking about vows and during at Catholic Easter and finish at Orthodox?
Just a happy coincidence.
Happy coincidence. When you do something right, you see a lot of coincidences. Okay, so Olaf, do you want to start? You have some ideas to
Yeah, I do. In general,
tell them.
do we have translators for?
Yes, we have translators.
Okay, thank you, translators. I will try and speak. Go to the gallery view so that if I start speaking too fast, you can like wave your hands or yell at me or something.
You just can watch translators and you will see that they are still talking.
Okay. Like if you get up and walk away, I know you're frustrated. So for understanding these vows, the main thing is to remember that it's coming from cause and effect, and the results are delayed. And so the way you're going to respond isn't going to be in a conventional manner, right? Like conventionally, for example, somebody yells at you, you yell back, right? I'm going to hurt them in return. And when I hurt them, then they'll stop yelling, right? That's the conventional worldview. But with this worldview, understanding emptiness and cause and effect, it's two sides, right, of the same coin. It could have been anything. And what you're getting is like a picture frame in the moment from some action you did in the past. And so when somebody yells at you, the last thing you want to do is yell back because you've burned up that old seed, right? You've burned up that old negative seed. And as long as you don't yell, you're done with the problem. The problem only reoccurs if you repeat it. And it's the time delay that gets us in trouble. Well, we don't see that. So as we go through each of these vows, think about that, right? That it's not that the result that you're getting is coming from something in the past. And the main thing is that you don't want to repeat the mistake and have the problem reoccur. So.
Okay, let's get started with the vows. So we have done already all refuge vows, and today it's lay people vows, right? And when you get your vows, usually you get both sets, but your seeds can be quite funny. I personally, I have gotten for the first time I met these teachings just refuge vows. I didn't know about vows at all. I just heard that if you take them, then you will not be reborn less than a human. I was thinking, wow, that's cool. I will buy it. So, and then in half a year, for very funny reasons, unknown for me, I received just layperson vows, and usually it is never done like that. So you may have some strange things going on because it is related to your past lives, to be honest. Don't judge other people that they get vows in different order than you do. anything can happen, but the best if you get them like together, refuge and layperson vows, and you get 27 overall, because you have 12 refuge vows, 5 layperson vows, and together with this you get 10 good deeds or bad deeds, depending how you phrase it, right? So today this is our task: 5 vows of a layperson and 10 good/bad deeds. Let's start with 5 vows. Okay, so the first one is not killing a person, a human being, or a human fetus. So this is a very, I think, self-explanatory vow, and more or less easier to for most of us is easier to keep it, because it's a big deal, right? To kill another person, and of course anything can happen. You can have so bad seeds that I don't know, an accident can happen, right? But this is number one. Why? Because you will get hurt, right? Everything you do, you will have to experience in the future, and because the seeds are growing, then it will be worse than what you do. And I'm thinking about my experience when I was 21. I became a medical doctor, and I became a pediatrician, actually, precisely. And I remember me walking in these departments of early age, of preterm babies departments, and seeing all these babies that had multiple birth defects, like incompatible with normal living. And I was thinking, wow, they're just born, they didn't do anything. How on earth they can have that bad diseases? Some of them would have leukemia, leukemia from the birth, like they're just newborns and they have bad oncology diseases. So unfortunately, this is how, right? We can have some luggage in our past, and we may be completely unaware of what we have. And something important, if you know a person that goes through this hardship or similar hardship, like parents who lost their child, or people who are in a war zone and all the bad things happen to them, please never tell them this is because of your bad karma, because it is completely, how to say, non-human, right? If you see a person suffering, then you should take your responsibility for this person. It's your third flower. It's because of my bad deeds I see them suffering. Never ever blame another person for their sufferings. It's completely non-humanistic.
I think there are some situations where the question can be difficult or controversial. For example, you live in a country where there's a war, and you get called to the military,
and you have no options.
Right? And so, then what do you do? The thing is that the enemy, no matter how horrible they are, right? That's coming from a past seed that you've done. And the important thing is not to plant another negative seed to keep it continuing, right? And so then, what are you going to do? It's Lincoln is one of my personal heroes. He really did live and tried to treat other people the way he wanted to be treated himself, and was a great man. He was also the commander-in-chief of the army during the Civil War, and a horrible, very difficult position to be put into. He was in command of the military. At one point actually had to go into the battlefield and take control of the operation because it wasn't going well. And as kind-hearted as what he was also assassinated. Somebody shot him at the end of his presidency. And that's kind of the situation that you're looking at in a war type situation. The thing is that if somebody is attacking your neighborhood, or your somebody you personally know, what do you do then, right? Like somebody's broken into your house, and then how do you handle that situation if they're threatening your wife or your children? And then it's like what you had. If you're angry at that person for coming in, you're going to plant negative seeds. You have to treat the attacker like they were your mother and they were insane. And then how would you treat your mother if she were insane and attacking your family? There's actually specifically guidance for when it's okay to kill somebody. And basically, unless you've had the direct perception of emptiness, you're basically not going to be able to meet the standards. You have to have no mental afflictions. You have to be able to see their past lives, know why they're doing what they're doing, know where they're going to go. And then after if you're going to, it's called sending them on, because you send them on to their next life, and put them in a position where they'll be better off than they would have if they had continued on with the murder or whatever evil that they were planning on doing.
Basically, this is not the death in common sense, right? If you can move them into pure lands, to finish their education to become an enlightened being, then go ahead. If you cannot do it.
And there is a story where the historical Buddha, Gautama, was captain of a ship, and he saw that somebody on that ship was going to kill every man on the ship, 500 people. And so he did send that person on. But it's an extremely high standard to meet. It's
and the important question is why he did it.
Yeah,
not because of other people, because of him, because he had seen how many billions of years he will have to spend in the lower realms, like worst of the worst.
And so you could actually make a academic career out of when is it appropriate to use force, and how do you do it, particularly, and it's considered to be a very unfortunate life if you're a politician and in need of and have to make these decisions. And it was the first Panchen Lama, right, when the Mongols were attacking, and he was in a situation where the Mongols were coming to Lhasa, and there was getting ready to be a war, and to stop the war, he did three things.
I think we talked already about it.
We have already talked about it. So
he fed monks, he fixed the tomb of the third Dalai Lama, who was a friend of Mongols, and he was the first one who was named Dalai Lama. Dalai is a Mongol word, the highest.
Yeah, it's fair to repeat it.
He went to a lone retreat.
And so that's because then the reason he's doing all of that is he's working with the mental seeds, right? He's not trying to solve it with violence. He's trying to work at a more profound level, at a deeper level. There's also the case. Anything else on directly on killing?
I think that nowadays the war is such that you do not really see your enemy. Sometimes you see,
sometimes
just
they do.
a missile comes and boom, and that's it. So what would you think, or what would you do in this case? I think whatever. I mean, we have to live through our experiences, right? But whatever you do, just remember that everything you do, you will have to experience in future. So like good or bad, whatever you do, you will have to experience it. And then just choose the best thing that you can do. And for people who do not practice Maxorma yet, I really recommend you to start. If you are in the situation of war conflict, because this is a specific practice, it is secret, but Geshe Michael allowed for us to practice it because we are in such a difficult time, like many wars launched, right? So you can practice it. And Venerable Jigme, who passed this practice, she is willing to give another class on Maxormo, Pelden Flamo, the famous protector, Tibetan protector. And meaning she's not Tibetan, right? But the practice is in Tibetan. So and it will be within a couple of weeks. She will talk to us again.
Great. There's also the issue of abortion that we need to discuss.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a big issue because I never had abortions myself, and probably I will never have, fortunately. But guess what? If you know other people who had abortions, then it's also your seeds. So you may want to purify the seeds also. And the worst issues with health issues I have ever seen with my friends happened to women who did multiple times abortions. So if you have the seeds, take care of them as soon as you can, like right now, right today, because the seeds are growing.
Yeah, and the reason why abortion is specifically prohibited is because because the consciousness is created at the moment of conception. It's not like and that human being has the potential to get enlightened from the moment it's conceived. There's a mind that's exactly equal to the mind that you have, or I have, or Inna has, in its emptiness and its potential. So from the moment of conception, to take a life like that, particularly a helpless life, is considered to be an extremely bad deed. Now, having said that, Geshe Michael has been very open about the fact that one of his girlfriends in college accidentally got pregnant, and she had an abortion. And so he worked to clean that up, and has obviously had a successful life since then.
So you can clean it.
You can clean it. And if you were involved in an abortion before you had these vows, the action wasn't as powerful because you weren't aware that there was something wrong with it. So still a serious deed, not as serious as what it is now that you have the vows.
Yeah, just stop feeling guilty and clean these seeds. It may take a while. If it was an abortion, it may take maybe a couple years even to clean these seeds, but you will definitely know that you are done with it. There will be something that you will perceive as bad, but together with this, you will feel that you're done. You don't have the seeds anymore. Like heavy weight will be as if heavy weight would be taken off you.
Yeah, it's guilt is not helpful. Guilt is not the point. People make mistakes out of ignorance, and you learn from your mistakes and move on.
And we are all the same, believe me. Every single Buddha had the same issues. Every single deity had the same issues.
Yeah. And there are stories of people who've done incredibly bad deeds and still,
like Milarepa, he killed many people.
Yeah.
He was a black, how you call it?
Black
wizard, right?
Yeah, black magician.
Black magician.
Yeah, black magic.
He was able to poison and kill people in different ways, and he wanted to revenge enemies of his family, and he did. He killed many people, and then he found his teacher. He regretted deeply, and he had huge spiritual obstacles. For 12 years, he was not taught even one single word of Dharma by his teacher. And he was working as a slave for his teacher. But then it was over. And he has done his first retreat over 50 years old, like 55 or something. Can you imagine? Yeah. That time, 55. Maybe even 57. That time it was like an old man. I mean, many people, they lived only 40 years, up to 40 years old. And he was like 55. He started his meditator career. Not only he succeeded, he was famous for his retreats, and he received all kinds of very cool miraculous powers. He was famous not only as a poet, but also as a person who was flying over Himalayas. And he reached enlightenment within his lifetime. So whatever bad deed you have done, don't feel guilty, just clean it carefully, okay? No stealing. I mean, it's self-explanatory, right? Never take something that was not given and you will be fine.
It's stealing, the second one.
The second one, yes. Stealing.
There are subtleties to this, though.
Tell me.
Well, I don't think most of us are going out into the street
and stealing from people
and pointing a gun at somebody and taking their purse and running away. If you are, then we have some remedial work to do.
If you are, stop it immediately.
Yeah, don't do that. But we do it more subtly. What was happening for me at work, and it's not happening now. I'm at a different airline. But I was a pilot at American Airlines, and you have a very specific contract with the company. We're in a union, a trade group, and you have a formal agreement with the company, and it spells exactly, how you're going to get paid and what your responsibilities are. And pilots get paid by the minute. And what was happening at American Airlines is that you get paid by the minute only when the airplane is moving. And there was a formal agreement that the plane had to be physically moving for you to get paid. But from the time it started moving to the time it stopped moving, you got paid. The issue, though, was that they didn't record it as having stopped moving until the door opened up. And so what guys were doing is that the door opened up and then it would go back to when the parking brake was set. So the parking brake had to be set and the front door had to open up. And what guys were doing is, you know, sometimes you can go and you can wait 10, 15, 20 minutes for the gate agent. And so what guys were doing, so even though we parked and we were stopped, the guys would release the brake right before the door opened and then set it again. And I mean, sometimes it could be, you know, over the course of a career, I mean, over the course of a year of doing that every time, and thousands of dollars, right? And there were other times. So I couldn't stop that, right? Because it wasn't my decision to release the brake. I was a first officer. I'm still getting paid, right?
Together with the captain.
Together with the captain. So, you know, and I thought about that often. I was regretted, you know, that I was forced to be part of that. And so, you know, guys would argue, well, ethically, I'm still in charge of the airplane until the door opens. I deserve to get paid. But there was a written contract that said otherwise. And so stealing's going to look more like that, right? The more typical way that I think people would steal would be doing personal business at work, right? You're getting paid for your time, and you know you're playing games on your phone, or
printing ACI materials on work printer. I was doing it.
Yeah. Okay. And so what happens if you print ACI materials at work?
I had no idea that something was wrong with it. You know?
Yeah.
Because it was like.
Yeah. And so if you do something like printing ACI materials at work, your results are going to be mixed.
Bad.
well, mixed, right? You're going to get something good for printing ACI, you know.
Something bad for stealing.
And something bad for stealing. So maybe you'll get a class on how not to steal in the future if you do it. Maybe it'll cost you more than it should.
Yeah. I was very specific with cleaning these seeds. So when I started to work from home, I bought at my own cost a printer, and I was using it not only for home purposes, but also for work. This is why I had this huge printer in Lyon.
Yeah.
That was my antidote.
One of the things too, one of my friends, he was always, this is related not directly to money, but he, I won't embarrass him and say his name, but he's an executive, a businessman, very busy, always talking about how busy he is, never has enough time. And it's really funny because he would have one job and he would have no time. And then they would give him like the responsibilities of another employee, right? Like another employee, he would have to do their job. And he would have exactly as much no time as what he had before. And so he was able to do two jobs, didn't lose any more sleep and what he was doing is, and we talked about it, I've talked about it with him. One of the things that he would do to manage his time is he would always be late. And so other people would be waiting on him. And in a way, he was stealing their time, right?
I did it also.
Yeah. It's not, I mean, it's not uncommon, right? It's not uncommon for Americans to steal time. It's not uncommon for Americans to feel they have no time and to be busy. And so you take somebody else's time and then you don't have time yourself, right? And it didn't make a difference whether he had one job or two jobs. And now he's working for himself. He still has no time. And it's subtle things like that, right?
But yesterday we were talking with your mom about 1984, George Orwell and Big Brother. And today I had an insight. I was like, wow, the Big Brother is actually inside my head. My video camera is watching everything I do.
Yeah.
I cannot lie about not stealing if I did.
No. It so it tends to be subtler things like that. Like time.
Okay, so not stealing. And Geshe Michael usually says it means don't be silly and think that if you, I don't know, picked a flower or a branch or something that you stole something. Overall, it's over $250, right?
I think he said usually about the value of a sweater, right?
That's for the first time I hear it.
Yeah,
I had heard $250.
A quarter of a dollar. Okay, well, that's a little tighter than
Tighter.
the version I've heard. I've heard about the price of like an average sweater.
Yeah, never sweater can be $100.
Yeah, I know. It's insane.
So, or like something that another person will regret that you stole it, will have probably mental afflictions about it.
I think that was for a root downfall, is if you stole something that was more than anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Third one. That's a subtle one. Do not lie about your spiritual realizations. Many people, they are writing that they work during, they do volunteer work during their working time and they cannot do it otherwise. I can totally relate because like my work was, sometimes I would have free time and sometimes I would be so busy that I would finish like 10 p.m. or something. Then just, do the best you can. And if you see yourself really stealing, like you can see your video camera is recording it, do 4 hours right away, because otherwise you will end up in a situation for very important things you will not have time, you see. You may die before you reach anything important.
And I would strongly encourage you, if you're taking time away from work for non-work activities, whatever they are, it's not going to be canceled out by the virtuousness of the activity, right?
No.
You're still taking, they're two different actions. You're taking something from somebody and you're doing something good for somebody. So you're going to get both the black and the white out of that. And if you don't want the black part, you've got to figure out a way to make a deal with your work, or to work extra time, or come up with some kind of solution. And a lot of these vows, individual circumstances can be quite difficult. It's a mess. Samsara is a mess. And like if you, like for killing, right? I know we've talked about this before, but even if you try and eat vegan, the truck that drives your organic vegan oat milk to the store is killing bugs.
Yeah.
It's
and you do not want to know how many thousands and millions of insects were killed when they were just harvesting buckwheat.
Yeah, right. And so like the machines moved to the fields and killed small animals. And boy, we love little animals.
And in our system, one small insect is actually the same that one big cow.
Well, the mind is the same, but they're quite clear that killing a cow was a worse deed than killing an insect. And then killing a human is worse than killing a cow.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, okay.
So basically, I was reading yesterday a book teaching meditation, because we are getting ready to our ACI3 course in June that starts on the 7th of June, right? And we will do a public talk 1 week before. So I started to read a book on meditations just to, to have some ideas what to talk about. And I think one idea was, it's nothing new, but it was very well described there, like what actually helps you to make progress in meditation. Does it mean that you will sit and force yourself to focus and you will make progress, or you will blame yourself for not meditating and then you will go and meditate? No, basically, all the progress that you make in meditation is based on your intention, your motivation. Like, you should really work on your motivation, and then all the progress will happen almost automatically because of that. So if you find yourself in a tricky situation, maybe with kind of small low level stealing from your employer, or I remember when I first heard that I should stop, I should never lie, I was like, it is not possible. Even not small exaggeration, like how will I do my job if I do not exaggerate, to my bosses? But with the time, I realized that I do not lie anymore, and even I have no circumstances why I need to lie. So it is basically intention that does 95% of the job. And you should really won't stop stealing and lying, etc.
And lying is defined as when you intentionally create an impression in somebody else's mind that's different than the impression you have in your own mind. And so, for example, you could say something that was factual, but it's still a lie if it creates a different impression in the other person's mind. And then the other point, they're talking specifically here about lying about your realizations, right? Spiritual realizations. And this is important because we have clear teachings, and those clear teachings are how you were going to save the world, right? You're going to have the direct perception of emptiness. You're going to get enlightened, and you're going to eliminate the suffering of every living being, because we have, and part of that is clear teachings, right? And if somebody hasn't had the direct perception of emptiness and they're telling people that they have, you're just going to mess it up, right? And you see all sorts of wrong spiritual ideas, and people waste their lives on, you see people in India and they'll like hold their hand up for their whole life until their arm withers, right? And somebody somewhere taught them some wrong worldview about that, and they're actually hurting themselves. And they were lying about the spiritual possibilities of doing that. Somebody somewhere lied about it. And
so please don't tell other people that you have seen emptiness directly if you didn't.
And then it's a very tricky thing. This is a little bit of an aside. How do you tell if somebody's honest about having something? And there's two things. One, you can feel it, right? That there's a weight, there's an authenticity to it. But look at their life. Like, if somebody has had something like the direct perception of emptiness, they're going to have seen directly that cause and effect is creating their world, and they will be very free of mental afflictions, and their life will be devoted to trying to tell people what they've seen. It's look at what they do and look at what they write. Like, so Geshe said he's had the direct perception of emptiness. I've seen him personally. The guy doesn't get angry. It's crazy. And wonderful. He's also written 30,000 pages worth of translations that are extremely difficult. Probably many of you have been to the translators classes on Saturday and Monday.
And if you didn't, you should come.
You should come. Yeah, they're really they're difficult. They're profound, and
especially if you do not understand them, you should come.
Yeah, you don't have to understand them. It's not the point. The point is to be able to understand them. And so, that's a pretty good baseline for what it looks like if somebody's had the direct perception of emptiness.
And if you, but to be honest, you cannot prove or disprove it, right? Because it's a realization of another person. Just to be on a safe side, don't judge another person, because you never know, but you may create a lot of spiritual obstacles by not believing.
Yeah, there's type 1 and type 2 angels. So somebody who never gets angry and writes 30,000 pages of translations and is a beautiful example, it's a type 1 angel. And
considered not to be very efficient.
So sometimes we learn more from the type 2 angels. Those are the ones that make you angry. They come into your life and give you a problem. So,
and Katan just published a link to, if you want to get reminders about the classes, or you want to enter the Telegram chats to see reminders and cool posts about this translation classes there, so you can go ahead and subscribe. And
the more you watch it, the more interesting it'll get. It's
basically, for me, these translator classes are like personal messages. Like every time I work on something in my mind and I do not know the answer yet, then I listen to Geshe Michael and I always get the message.
Yeah, you can get answers to problems you wouldn't expect in a format you wouldn't expect.
Okay, next one. No adultery. That's self-explanatory. No adultery means behave with a person of another gender, another sex.
Anybody's partner, right?
Meaning nowadays can be also same sex because we have also gay guys. So just behave with another person as they would be with their partner and you would be with your partner in case you are not single, or in case you are single, do your best to figure out that another person is single before you take any actions, because this one, it's very nasty, because karma of adultery of wrong sexual behavior is probably the most painful. I mean, emotionally, oh my God, that's so much suffering, because it creates a lot of suffering in another person and you see it directly almost, right? So it's a very nasty one. So
extremely damaging, particularly because the ACI courses are preparing you for the higher courses. And in the higher courses, having a spiritual partner is very important. There's I'll go ahead. I know I've said this before, and Geshe has said it publicly. Now, there's two phases in the higher teachings, Kirim and Zogrim. In the first stage, it's creation stage, and you're bringing your spiritual partner to you, like creating an angel in your life, right? That you're bringing to you. And then in the second phase, Zogrim completion stage, you become that angel, right? And so if you commit adultery, if you take somebody else's partner away from them or damage their partnership, extremely damaging for the higher practices. Extremely. People, you can waste a life pretty quickly with sexual misconduct like this. So it's really important to
if you have something that you want to purify, even mentally, not necessarily physical, but even in your mind, you want to stop it and purify it before you finish your 18 ACI courses.
Yeah.
Be careful with this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one. Do not use alcohol and other intoxicants. Very important one, because if you work with your mental seeds, I mean, mental seeds are related to your mind. You do not want, I mean, it will be damaging what you do, right? Your mind should be focused and anything that will, how to say, will damage this ability to focus is bad for us. So it's absolutely counterproductive to follow these teachings and use alcohol and other intoxicants.
There's a famous Tibetan joke. Do you know which one? So there's a yogi, like a monk, living in a cave by himself, and he's in retreat in a cave, and he's saying his prayers, and he has vows of celibacy, and he has all the monks' vows, and he's in the cave praying. And one day a pretty lady comes in to his cave, and she says, "Oh, well, can I cook you some meat and make you dinner?" And he goes, "No, I have vows against killing. I'm not going to eat the meat." And she goes, "Well, would you?
How about sex?
Yeah, how about sex? Would you sleep with me?" And she was very attractive, but he was like, "No." And he said, "Look, I'm celibate. I'm serious about my practice, and thanks for the offer, but no." She goes, "Well, how about some alcohol? Just a little bit of alcohol." No, he says, "No, I can't meditate if I take the alcohol." And so she goes away, and she comes back the next day, makes the same offers. He politely refuses. And then after about a week or two of this, she keeps coming back every day and keeps offering, and kind of got in his head. And he's like, "Oh, well," finally he's like, "Okay, I'll have a drink with you. Like I'll have a drink with you if you'll." And then what happens next?
He breaks all the other
He
vows.
has the drink, he eats the meal, he has sex with her. His retreat's over. It lowers your inhibitions, right? You're much more likely to break the other vows if you're using alcohol. And on a personal note, what I've seen is that, and I know it's not as big of an issue in Eastern Europe as what it is in America, where marijuana has now become common. Marijuana, people who I've known who were long-term marijuana users seem to have a particularly difficult time reaching the higher levels of meditation. The dullness that marijuana produces. People who smoke marijuana, they just end up sitting on the sofa, and they're not really bothering other people. They're not really breaking any other vows. They're just tuned out. But the dullness that they're actively seeking, and this is for people who are heavy users over a period of a long time, many, many years. They have a difficult time meditating, and it doesn't damage their brain. It's permanently. But it's the karma of having sought the dullness, right? They've actively sought out the dullness, and then it's hard to get rid of it. So,
on the other hand, for the alcohol, there are serious researchers that every alcohol intake kills a number of cells in your brain.
Hmm.
You cannot reverse it. And it's true. So probably you don't want to use both if you are serious about working with your consciousness.
And even if you don't mind hurting yourself, other people are suffering. And the only way the other people are ever going to be relieved of their suffering is for each of us individually to save them. Everybody has to save their own world. So if if you don't want to do it for your own sake, then do it for other people's sakes. And
Hear you.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if I could mention the Dalai Lama in this class. I'm always in the other classes, always mentioning the wrong thing.
That's a small group of people.
So I took my original vows from the Dalai Lama in 1999, and his advice on this, I almost didn't take the vows, which would have been a very big mistake. And I had the full set, included the Vajrayana vows, and
from him
at a Kala Chakra initiation, and very grateful that I've had them. And I almost didn't take them because of this alcohol vow, because at the time very much enjoyed wine with dinner and just really knew I wasn't going to be ready to give it up. His advice, that again, I almost didn't take the Kala Chakra initiation because I was like, I don't think I can live up to that one.
Slow down, my love.
The others weren't a problem, but that one. And his advice was that if you were thinking of not taking the vows because of that, promise to drink less over time, and then that was easier, and then over time, and then was able to give it up, so that was the Dalai Lama's advice to me 25 years ago.
Another advice. You want my solution?
Just don't drink.
I was told, like a person who took vows in front of me told me then, when she was saying, "Oh, I don't want to drink today," people would be like, "Really? You don't drink today? You should." But when she started to say that I don't drink at all, people would think that she is sick or pregnant or something, and they would not insist. So it was basically easier.
Yeah.
And it's true. It was easy for me. I was thinking it will be a nightmare, but actually people accepted it quite fairly easily. Is there anything we should talk about this, about intoxicants? Coffee. Many people, they ask about coffee. And we drink coffee with Bill. Bill and I.
Yeah, we drink coffee. Who's the third person?
Yeah, when you say we drink with Bill, it means like me, somebody else, and Bill in English.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Bill and I, we drink coffee almost every day. I don't think I'm particularly addicted to coffee, but I like coffee. I like the elegancy, like we have a special cafe, we go there, called Backlot. Katya knows already. She is also, we made her addicted. I don't know if to coffee, but to Backlot. But at some point of my life, when I was very serious about meditation, and especially when you do retreats, you feel that coffee is an obstacle. And usually, naturally, you stop doing it because in a retreat, you will not feel it in day-to-day life that much. But in a retreat, coffee is a killer. I mean, literally. It will kill your meditation. It will make you feel lungi, like heavily. I cannot even think about coffee. It feels bad only remembering what coffee is. So I really do not recommend you to drink coffee if you feel these effects, because in your mind you will be taking poison and you will break this vow.
Yeah, in the morning, if you have a cup of coffee, you won't be able to sit down and have an effective meditation afterwards. I know you may, and people say, well, I'm tired. And the answer is sleep more. And the coffee isn't going to fix it. So, having said that, people do drink coffee. Geshe drinks coffee. We drink coffee.
JP drinks coffee. But at some point...
but they're meditating first, and then they sit down and drink the coffee, and then they're getting enough sleep. So
make sure that coffee is a pleasure for you and not a poison. And probably if you drink every day, maybe it is a poison for you. So you should really think about it. Why do you drink coffee?
And obviously be careful about it in the evening, so that it doesn't hurt your sleep.
Okay, we have another question. What if I had some adultery in the past? How can I purify in the best way? And also had a drug addiction. What should be the antidote?
All of those type of things are very, very common, particularly, I mean, among humans in general. And it's not, well, you see practitioners a lot of times have had pretty wild lives before they've really indulged in samsara.
Good practitioners.
Good practitioners.
I mean, very good practitioners.
And then they've hurt themselves badly with it. And then they start looking for other other answers. Brings them to the door.
So basically, you may use any ACI course as an antidote. That will be the best probably, because this is the power in ACI courses is such that it will stop all your suffering in the future, and you will be able to help every living being with these teachings. So that would be probably my first advice, like dedicate your next ACI course to completely clean these bad deeds. Like, I don't know, course number 3 to clean adultery, and 4 to clean addictions. Another thing is Geshe Michael teaches time to time DCI 6 about addictions, helping other people with their addictions. Maybe you want to learn how to help them. And also in Russian, we have a recorded course about addictions. Somebody asked me to launch it again. Maybe we should do it somewhere in the future. So these are the possibilities about addictions.
And if you've had problems with adultery in the past, it's probably pretty easy to stop physical and verbal sexual misconduct. Be very careful about mental misconduct also. It's counting.
Okay. This is for men.
Yeah.
Just do not work the same way.
Yeah, ask me why I know.
But for men, it's true. It's very important to stop adultery on mental level. Ladies are not prone to it.
And the things that I noticed going into a long retreat is that when you stop being inundated with media, like we're bombed all the time with this constant flow of images of sexuality, things designed, the advertisers and everybody else that wants your attention they're using sex to get your focus. And And when you unplug from that, it took a couple months, but boy, your mind settles down. It's like every time you see an image like that, it's like poking you, like it's stirring you up. And it's really powerfully disturbing. And quite pleasant, actually, when somebody stops agitating you with all of those images. And so if you're somebody that has problems on the mental level, be very careful about what you're letting into your mind. It's probably a lot stronger than what you think it is. It is a lot stronger than what you probably think it is.
Okay. We didn't manage to cover 10 good deeds. It took us 1 hour to go through 5 layperson's vows. I think we should do one more class on it, because 10 good deeds are also very fun, and there are a lot of first time you read it, it seems to be pretty obvious, but then you try to keep it and you see that there are some peculiarities and details. So what shall we do? Should we make it one more time, like same time next week? I can see that Lena is not next week. Okay, tell me why.
На следующей неделе у нас обзорное занятие по ACI 2.
Okay, we have a review class on ACI 2 next week this time.
Okay.
Then in 2 weeks. Sounds good? Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, and happy Easter. I think it's cool to talk about vows on the Easter, because what Jesus has done actually is heroic, and it is completely in the frame of these teachings, because he was teaching all his lifetime, like treat another person the way you want to be treated. This is the essence of our teachings. Thank you, translators, you are heroic. Thank you, technical team. Thank you, Yelena Smirnova, for organizing. Without her, we would not have it. She was chasing us to do these classes on vows. It was not obvious for us that they were missing. Okay.
Thank you, everybody who helps us do this. All together, every time we do this, we're moving closer to our enlightenment. We're moving closer to the end of our suffering, and we deeply appreciate all of your efforts.
Yeah, not only us, you too.
Everybody. We're all going together.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Пока-пока.